Hey, how vibes? Today I want to make a video about how to distinguish the difference between, your spirit and your ego. And just like a few tips in how I can notice the difference between um like my ego and my spirit, and when I'm getting certain information and certain confirmations, and when I'm making certain choices. Now, um based off, observing my thoughts and, certain meditations and stuff, I'm able to decipher the difference between my ego and my spirit based off the energy that I receive from my thoughts. And eventually, you guys will get to this level uh, where you'll get to a point where you'll pretty much be able to feel the energy from every single thought that you get. So, you'll get a thought and you'll be able to feel the energy signature of that thought. Now, this is like going a little deeper, but basically what I notice about the ego is that the ego is extra. That's basically how I could put it, because like when I'm getting something from spirit, spirit is like, all right, do this, and like it's just like direct. Spirit is not like sugar coated or anything. It's just like a direct thought, a direct information that comes from within, and you can feel the energy. And whereas the ego is extra, the ego is kind of like the guy who just like whispers in your ear and says, now you should do this. Or like, for example, sometimes spirit will give you the confirmation to do certain things. Like, let's say you've been training for a while and, you have a very strict diet. There's actual times where spirit will like, give you the confirmation, like, yeah, it's okay to, eat your favorite snack every now and then. And spirit will literally give you the confirmation saying, it's okay, today you can do it. You've been putting in a lot of work and you deserve that piece of cake, or you deserve, that snack that is your favorite, and, you can eat that now. And, you'll get that confirmation and you'll eat the cake or whatever. But then when you start observing your mind, you'll notice that your ego will start to pop in. And your ego is extra. And the way how you can determine the difference between your ego and your spirit is that your ego will try to get you out of balance. You see, because your spirit will give you a direct thought or a direct message or confirmation that is balanced. It's balanced for that present moment. Whereas your ego will try to slip you, or the best way I could describe it is like, you start eating that piece of cake and then your ego will start to say, let's get cookies now and let's get a piece of pie. And, while your spirit on the other hand is telling you, bro, like, you're on a strict diet. You got to be balanced. You could have the cake. That's cool. But you don't want to just start eating a whole bunch of munchies and then you just ruin your whole plan. So once you start observing your mind, you'll notice that the ego will try to come in, but it'll be like extra. It'll try to say you need more than, you need more than what you actually need. The ego always wants more. So that's something that you guys can observe, is that if you start to notice, certain thoughts that are trying to get you out of balance, or certain thoughts that have greed, because really it's all energy signature. You know what I'm saying? If you have a thought and the thought is trying to like pretty much like tempt you and stuff, and you could feel the energy of greed behind that thought, then it's from the ego. But if you have a thought and at that moment it's like you know for a fact that it's right at that moment, because it's all a feeling, but you got to be able to, you have to be able to generate that sensitivity inside of you, which is now another video I have to make, is about, how to pretty much gain that sensitivity. But you have to gain a certain connection, a certain sensitivity inside you in order to feel these different energies and know where they're coming from. And once you're able to decipher the different energies, you'll be able to actually protect yourself from your ego. And your ego will be more tamed because now you know the difference between your spirit and your ego. So when you're getting information from spirit, you're gonna know 100% that it's meant to be at that moment. You're gonna know that right now I have to do this because spirit is telling me I have to do this, and there's nothing else that there's nothing else that's telling me to not do this, and it's just gonna be direct. It's gonna be natural. You're gonna go with the flow, and you're gonna know that now is the time to do it. Now, another way to observe your ego is if you start getting thoughts of procrastination. Because there's a lot of times where the ego will try to counter certain information that your spirit sends you. And this is because our minds are so programmed and so boxed up that our minds are programmed to deactivate when we're getting certain information from spirit. So what will happen is, you might get a thought, from spirit. You might get information from spirit, and spirit is telling you it's time to go, it's time to go work out. And next thing you know, you just get a thought out of nowhere, and you're like, man, I don't feel like working out. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like leaving. I don't think today's the day. I'll just do it tomorrow. That thought that you just received was the ego's counter of the information that you were getting from spirit. Because spirit, is going to give you the information, but you got to be able to trust spirit. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to trust that energy that's inside of you, that right now is the time where I need to go work out now because spirit is telling me I got to go do it. Whereas my ego is trying to tell me to procrastinate. My ego is saying save it for tomorrow. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes spirit will actually tell you, now is not the time to do that. See, because it's like, that's why you got to be able to sense the energy, because spirit will tell you no. Spirit isn't always like, do this, do that. Sometimes spirit will tell you, don't do this. You shouldn't do that. You should stay away from that. And your spirit will, once you're able to navigate through the spiritual navigation system, your spirit will pretty much guide you in a way where it's like you just need to trust. It's like, spirit, I kind of like the car analogy where it's like you put spirit in the driver's seat, because it's like you're not really doing much but just trusting. You're trusting your spirit and you're going with the flow. And once you start trusting your spirit, it's like spirit will take you to the places that you need to be at the exact time. It's like if you need something, spirit is there. If you need a quick snack or something, or you need some energy, spirit drives you to the gas station. It's crazy how spirit works. But it's like you got to get that connection first. And, when you're on the ego route, or, when you have ego in the driver's seat, it's like there is no guidance there. That's when it's like you're going through a maze. You know what I'm saying? Because the ego doesn't have radar. The ego doesn't, let's just put it like this. The ego doesn't have like a GPS. It's not able to sense, where it's actually going because it's not heading anywhere. The ego is stagnant. It's like, whereas the spirit is like the electricity, is moving. So, if you're putting the ego in the driver's seat, you're going to be in a maze forever. And you're going to be thinking that you're moving, but you're going to actually be in a circle. So it's like, yeah, the ego is moving, but it's moving in a circle. And if it's moving in a circle, then it's going to eventually become stagnant because you're not getting anywhere. Whereas your spirit is spontaneous. Your spirit doesn't stay in one place. Your spirit is everywhere. Your spirit is all. So basically, that's pretty much like different ways that you can observe your ego and you can observe your spirit and learn how to decipher between the two. And I'm guessing that's pretty much it. But another thing before I end this is that once you connect with spirit, because a lot of people, they get caught up in wanting more, or greed, or these different lower energies, once you connect with your creator, it's like you no longer have want. Like you no longer need to want anything, or no longer need anything, because spirit will provide. Spirit will provide anything that you need. And it's like the best way I could say is that it's kind of like you have unlimited energy, because it's like, if you're balancing your energy, you're giving it out to the right people at the right time. Spirit, it's like you're no longer on batteries. And like this is all right. So like this is gonna be for another video. But basically, like once you make that connection with spirit, it's just like an unlimited source of energy. And whereas if you were in your ego, your energy is limited. So basically, once you connect with spirit, that's when you become limitless. But I'm gonna leave it at that. My full love. Let's keep turning up. High vibes.